What's up, everybody? It's Jake.perry here, your mortgage expert. Hey, if you're looking to buy a house in the Dallas area, but you're confused on where the market's headed, when is the right time to buy, stick around for this video. I'm going to help you out. All right, the housing market is starting to heat up already. Strange that interest rates at this point in time are somewhere in the mid sixes. They're projected to come down in the back half of this year, but people are still buying houses and people are wondering why. So I want to help clarify a couple of things for you guys. And I also want to help you make good and wise decisions on the market by understanding why the demand is so high, why people are buying, and if it's going to loosen up or if it's going to tighten up. There are three things I want to share with you to help you guys get some clarity. Tip number one, the United States is almost 6.5 million houses short. That's right, there's a huge shortage right now, and this is why you're seeing so many people continue to buy houses. Part of that has to do with population growth, but also part of it has to do with relocation growth, specifically here to the Dallas area. You guys are seeing so many individuals and businesses pour into here, and there's just still not enough houses to help everybody. So what you're seeing is more humans than houses, and demand is continuing to pick up. This is simple, economics 101, supply and demand. The other big component why things are still moving up and moving quickly is because new construction homes are not quite as hot as they were a year ago. With interest rates rising, a lot of these new construction builders have slowed down. And so what's happened? It's given the buyer less opportunity for options for their houses, so they're less new construction. So you've got everybody going to existing inventory. Since there's not enough inventory for everybody, you're going to see a lot of pent-up demand. Tip number two, I want you guys to be mindful of interest rates. So people are still concerned about interest rates. You know, depending upon the timing when you buy in the market, the rate can be anywhere from 6, 6.5, 7, maybe even 5.5. Here's the things to remember. Interest rates, they're temporary. We know that interest rates follow inflation. We know that they are going to come back down towards the back half of the year, and especially in 2024. If you buy a house now and you don't love it, the rate you can refinance in 12, 18 months. It's going to be a short-term mortgage play for a lot of folks out there. I really want to lean into the fact that buying a house now with a little bit higher rate is going to be advantageous to you as a buyer. Let me just give you some simple numbers. Think about this. What is it better to buy? A $500,000 house right now at 6.375, or is it better to wait 9 months and buy the same house at 550 at 5.5%? The payments are the exact same, but I want to think about that, and here's the reason. Even though the monthly payments are the same, because the house right now is 500, when interest rates drop, the demand is going to by at least 10%. That means the same house is going to be 550. So you're going to get a lower rate, but the payments are going to be about $3,070 a month. So why would you do it? Versus if you get a $500,000 house now at 6.375, your payment's going to be $3,070. When rates drop and your house moves from 5 to 50, you as the homeowner have just made almost 10% equity and ROI on your appreciation. Stop and think. If I buy that $500,000 house right now, the payment is going to be the same as if I bought a 550 house at 5.5% 9 months from now. The difference is an owner of the house, you'll make 10% appreciation, which means you're making money, and that's part of being a smart homeowner. So why would you buy a house at a 550 with a lower interest rate and give up all the equity? Don't you want to make the money on the appreciation of the house? The market is outside all the costs of the house. The interest rate, the payments, I want to talk about negotiations for a minute as the market continues to heat up. Sellers are becoming less likely to negotiate on the price. Closing costs, really big deals, because a buyer, if you don't get a good deal on a house and you can't negotiate any closing costs, and all that you're going to come up with is $500,000 house is probably anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000, depending on your prepaids. But $7,000 to $10,000 is a lot of money. So factor in that the equation, as well as outside the cost of the house, the the rate of the house, the payments, the appreciation that you're going to make the swing up in the future. Think about it right now. If you get the $500,000 house at 6.375, and let's say the seller negotiates and gives you $8,000 in closing costs, that is almost $8,000 less that you, the buyer, have to come up to the table with. So the opportunity cost is also something that you guys must pay attention to. It's super important versus 9 months or a year from now. Yes, the house is going to be 550 and you're going to get 5.375 or whatever the actual rate is at that time. But you missed out on the appreciation. There's going to be a lot more demand, and so it'll be harder to get that house. You'll definitely won't be able to get closing costs included because there will be so many buyers bidding on that property that the sellers will have to power again. So that is the second thing to remember when you're thinking about timing right now to buy a home. Number 3 is ease and quality of life. What do I mean by this? Well, anybody that's been paying attention to the housing market for the past 3 or 4 years, specifically to DFW, remembers when COVID hit and there were just way more buyers than there were homes. It was a very uncomfortable way for buyers to buy a house. A lot of people missed out on buying a home. They were out of priced. They wouldn't take an FHA loans. They wouldn't take VA loans because the sellers had all the power. What I mean by quality of life is that if you wanted to wait a year from now to buy a house, if interest rates do get back down into the 4s, it might help you from a financial standpoint when it comes to monthly payment. But what's going to cause with buyers is going to be the biggest frenzy since COVID, I promise you, because everybody is going to be trying to get the same houses, and so your quality of life is going to be really bad. You're going to have to act instantly when houses become available. We'll be back into multiple offer situation. Oftentimes, it'll be a bidding war where the buyer even have to come out of pocket extra cash, 5, 10, or more. Waive your appraisal clause. If you're an FHA approved buyer or VA approved buyer, sometimes those sellers won't even take that type of financing because they are worried about the risk. They're worried about what comes with that type of pre-approval. And they just want a conventional or jumbo or cash buyer, which completely pushes all of those well-qualified buyers I like to the sideline. Because now and again, we're in a different scenario where the sellers can pick and choose a buyer. You're going to be forced to move faster than you want. You're going to be forced to pay more than you want. You're probably going to be forced to even out offer and bids on properties that you don't actually love because the inventory isn't available, so it's not ideal. Smart way to buy a house. This is why I think buying a house now has all the benefit for the buyer. The interest rate is really temporary. Worst case scenario, you refinance it. However, remember, you're able to get a concession or deal on the house or closing costs if you don't like the 6.375 interest rate or whatever you get. You can use some of those concessions to buy the interest rate down, even further permanent or temporary. Whatever you want to do to keep your payments lower. Fast forward to 2024, you're not going to have that opportunity. And I think the market's only going to continue to trend up and get tougher for buyers that wait longer. That's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. Jake Perry, Fairway Mortgage. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Feel free to like, comment, share it. Jake Perry, Fairway Mortgage, Allen. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.